If you grew up in the 1970s, you remember a time before everything became complicated, when summer meant being outside from sunrise to sunset, when music came from a record player spinning in the living room, and when Friday nights meant piling into the station wagon for a drive-in movie. This is growing up in the 1970s. We were the last to really live. In the early 70s, the 8-track player was the coolest thing you could have in your car. No rewinding, no flipping sides, just slide in the cartridge and let it play. Whether it was Led Zeppelin, the Bee Gees, or Fleetwood Mac, that chunky click when the track changed mid-song was just part of the experience. And if you didn't have an 8-track, you had AM radio. You'd sit with your transistor radio pressed against your ear, waiting for your favorite song to come on. No skipping, no choosing, just waiting. And when that song finally played, it felt like it was meant just for you. There was something about not being in control of the music that made it more special. Nothing compared to the ritual of putting on a record. You'd carefully pull the vinyl from its sleeve, hold it by the edges, never touch the surface, and place it gently on the turntable. Lower the needle. That soft crackle before the music started, that crackle meant something. It meant you were about to hear something real. Kids today stream millions of songs with a tap. We had 2 sides of an album and we knew every single word of every single track. And if you wanted to share music with someone you liked, you'd sit next to the record player with a blank cassette tape and hit record at exactly the right moment, hoping the DJ wouldn't talk over the intro. It took patience. It took effort. That's exactly what made it mean something. Friday nights in the 1970s had a rhythm. Dad would load up the station wagon, Mum would pack a grocery bag full of popcorn and snacks from home, because nobody was paying drive-in prices for candy. You and your siblings would fight over who got to sit in the back facing the screen. Then you'd pull into that big gravel lot, hang the speaker on the window, and watch a double feature under the open sky. It wasn't just a movie, it was an event. The drive-in was where teenagers had their first dates, where families spent summer evenings together without anyone staring at a phone, where you could fall asleep in the back seat and wake up to your dad carrying you inside. At peak, there were over 4,000 drive-in theaters across America. Today, fewer than 300 remain. Saturday mornings in the 1970s were sacred. You'd wake up before your parents, quietly, so you wouldn't wake them. Creep downstairs, pour yourself a bowl of cereal, and plant yourself in front of the TV. Scooby-Doo, The Bugs Bunny Show, Super Friends, Hong Kong Phooey. The network saved their best cartoons for Saturday morning, and every kid in America knew it. There was no streaming, no on-demand. If you missed it, you missed it. That was it until next week. By the time your parents came downstairs, you'd already had 3 adventures, solved 2 mysteries, and eaten a bowl of cereal the size of your head. When the cartoons ended, you turned off the TV and went outside, because that's what you did. Nobody scheduled play dates in the 1970s. You walked out the front door, maybe yelled for the kid next door, and just went down the street, across the field, to the creek, to the empty lot where someone had found an old tire. Your mum's only rule was simple: be home when the streetlights come on. No GPS, no cell phone, no way for your parents to reach you at all. And somehow, every single kid made it home for dinner. You built forts in the woods. You played pickup baseball in the street. You rode your bike for miles without a helmet and without anyone knowing exactly where you were. And you were fine, because the whole neighborhood was watching, not in a surveillance way, in a community way. Every adult on the block knew whose kid you were. And if you were doing something wrong, your parents knew before you got home. That invisible safety net That was the 1970s neighborhood. If you wanted to call your friend in the 1970s, you picked up the receiver, stuck your finger in the hole, and dialed, slowly, one number at a time. And if their line was busy, you got a busy signal. That flat, repeating tone that meant, try again later. There was no voicemail, no texting, no leaving a message with anyone. You just called back, again and again. The phone was attached to the wall. The cord was maybe 6 feet long. If you wanted privacy, you stretched that cord as far as it would go and whispered into the kitchen corner, while your family pretended not to listen. Teenagers would tie up the line for hours. Parents would lose their minds. But there was something grounding about it. When you were home, you were home. When you were out, nobody could reach you. The world couldn't follow you everywhere. That boundary doesn't exist anymore. You didn't pump your own gas in the 1970s. You pulled into the station and a guy came out to meet you. He filled the tank, checked your oil, cleaned your windshield, all without being asked. That was just the job. You'd sit in the car and watch him work. Maybe exchange a few words about the weather or the game last night. It wasn't just a transaction. It was a small, human moment in an ordinary day. The oil crisis of 1973 changed everything. Long lines, rationing, skyrocketing prices. And slowly, the full service station started disappearing, replaced by self-service pumps and the understanding that you were on your own. One more small connection, gone. In the 1970s, the Polaroid camera was pure magic. You'd point, shoot, and out would slide a blank white square. You'd wave it in the air. Everyone said that helped, even though it probably didn't. And slowly, right in front of your eyes, the image would appear. No waiting days at the photo lab, no hoping the shots came out. Right there, in your hands, in under a minute. You'd take them to birthday parties, family cookouts, 4th of July, and you'd keep them in a shoebox under the bed because nobody had photo albums big enough for all of them. Those Polaroids are in attics all across America right now. Slightly faded, slightly yellow, still holding a moment that felt worth capturing. This one's hard to believe if you didn't live it. In the 1970s, people smoked everywhere, in restaurants, on airplanes, in hospitals, in offices, at the dinner table after a meal. There was an ashtray on every surface, cigarette vending machines in hotel lobbies, ads on television telling you which brand your doctor preferred. Nobody thought twice about lighting up anywhere. The smell was just part of life, in diners, in cars, in movie theaters. It seems impossible now. But that was the world, and it changed slowly, then all at once. In the 1970s, kids worked not adult jobs, but real responsibility, real money, real accountability. At 12 or 13, you could have a paper route. You'd wake up before dawn, fold the papers, load your bike basket, and deliver to every house on your list. Rain, snow, it didn't matter. At the end of the month, you'd go door to door to collect. You learned people's names. You learned who always paid on time and who made you come back 3 times. You learned how the world worked, one front porch at a time. That money was yours. You earned it. And you spent it carefully because you knew exactly how many mornings it had cost you. Before interstate highways were everywhere, and before air travel was affordable for most families, you drove. Every summer, millions of American families loaded up the station wagon and hit the road. No DVD player in the headrest, no tablets, no screens of any kind. Just the open road, a paper map folded badly on the dashboard, and a back seat full of kids who'd been asking, "Are we there yet?" since the first traffic light. You played license plate bingo, you counted cows. You pressed your face against the window and watched America roll past. Farmland, mountains, small towns with one stoplight and a diner. And when you finally pulled into that motel parking lot after 12 hours in the car, that swim in the pool felt like the best thing in the world. Before Amazon, before the internet, before you could order anything from anywhere in 30 seconds, there was the Sears catalogue. It arrived once a year, thick as a phone book, filled with everything you could possibly want. Clothes, appliances, tools, toys, everything. Kids would circle their Christmas wishes in pen and leave it open on the kitchen table as a hint. Parents would dog-ear the pages they were actually going to order from. You'd fill out the paper order form by hand, mail it in with a check, and wait weeks for your package to arrive. The waiting was part of it, the anticipation. The thrill when the box finally showed up on the porch. That feeling of waiting for something you really wanted. Kids today will never quite understand it. What comes to mind when you think of the 1970s? The smell of sunscreen and cut grass. The sound of a screen door slamming. The feeling of riding your bike so fast the wind drowned out everything else. These weren't small things. They were the texture of a life lived without distraction. Fully present, fully free, fully alive. Leave your memories in the comments. What street did you grow up on? What did your summers feel like? Because this generation deserves to be remembered. Not just with nostalgia, but with pride. We were the last to really live. If this brought something back for you, subscribe. We tell stories like this every week.